I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're talking to Andrew Grof. He is the imaginative author of a powerful book. It is called According to My Father. This novel invites readers into a fantastical world where history's boundaries blur, taking us from the Crusades to Renaissance Florence and from wartime Cologne to Freud's Vienna. Join us as we explore this whimsical and profound narrative that challenges our perception of time and truth. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at City of Books for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Andrew, so good of you to join us here today on Spotlight.
That's nice of you to have me.
Great to have you on the show. Tell us what inspired you to write According to My Father and weave this diverse historical tapestry.
It's a well, it's a side of sui generis. It's a book that kind of birthed itself. Most of my writing just kind of happens. I have to wait until something clicks in me, and he said, this is what I want to say. This is where I want to go with this. And it has to do with challenges of time, challenges of finding out who you are vis-a-vis other people, vis-a-vis the world. And the best way to do that is to travel through time. And there's a very thin line between what is magical in the world and what is not magical. Either everything is magical or nothing is magical. I once had I once had a teacher, Fremantle, who was a kind of parapsychologist, and she was down in Mexico, and she talked to this young boy who went to get her grandmother, who was in a church, and it was time for dinner, and she was praying and levitating.
Hmm.
And waited patiently until she came down, and then they started walking, and he said to her, "Grandmother, was that a miracle?" And she shook her head and she bent down, she picked up a blade of grass, and she said, "No, this is a miracle."
Hmm.
So this is this is where do we draw the line between what is miraculous about life and what is not, and how do we find our place in it? And this is one man's struggle against so-called reality and breaking through the various chains that bind us to that reality and keep us blind to what is magical about life.
Amazing, a beautiful explanation.
Yeah.
Why did you name the book According to My Father?
Uh, well, it's a kind of father figure. We always look to the father, rightly or wrongly. In religion, we say our father and so forth. I don't think it should be that way, but it's a kind of an authority. He speaks with the authority of somebody who cares and loves at the same time, which is the ideal father. Uh, and in some ways, there are references to my father, but my father was nothing like that. So it's almost like a breaking away and also an embracing of my father, what he could have been, what he should have been, and the possibility of what we all can be.
Hmm.
In other words, tackle life head on, but then go beyond the boundaries. The boundaries that say, no, you can't go beyond this. No, you can't explore that. No, you can never have a conversation with Leonardo da Vinci.
Hmm.
And the idea is that, yes, you can, but you first have to break through to yourself, become yourself, and then lose yourself at the same time. So I don't know
This
if that makes any sense.
does make sense,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Tell us about how you balanced the absurdity and the seriousness of life through the character of the narrator's father. I guess you kind of addressed that a little bit there, but
Well, it's a sort of a takeoff on one of my favorite authors is Camus, and his idea, he's both a philosopher, but more of a human being than a philosopher. Philosophy finally doesn't get us there. It clears up the misconceptions of language, of reality, and then something else has to happen. So Camus sort of had the idea that you have to go beyond limits and you have to explore. And you have to, in order to find yourself, uh, you also have to leave yourself behind.
Mm.
And this happens in a very, uh, in a very real sense with this man who struggles against the absurdity of life. I mean, I don't think I'm saying anything new, or I don't think I have to remind people that life basically is absurd. And the meaning that life might have is the meaning that we give to it. So we have to be prepared almost to reinvent life
Mm.
and to hold that picture against the picture that tries to hold us back and tries to identify us. In other words, this is who you are. You can't be anything else. This is who you are. And uh, the absurdity we have to sort of overcome. And Camus has this wonderful example of a person being punished, endlessly being punished for bringing light to people by having him roll up a rock in the morning, all the way up, only to see it come down in the evening.
Mm.
And he says that's pretty much the condition of life, isn't it? You know, Sisyphus. And then he says, yes, it is, but at the same time, Sisyphus can give a meaning to the very act of rolling up the rock.
Mm.
So, in other words, he creates his own meaning. If we don't create our own meaning, it's not going to come to us. And if it comes to us, it's a false meaning. It's not the meaning that we should live by or we can live by. Yeah. Is that
What were some of the challenges you faced in blending these different historical periods within the book?
uh the truth is that the challenges were so internalized that at the time of the writing, I wasn't aware of them.
Mm.
It just popped up that this is the person I need to talk to now, or this is the character I have to explore now. And it didn't exist apart from the act of writing itself. So it wasn't like, I have this in mind, I have that in mind. Now let me sit down and write about this. It was like, try to discover what you're trying to say by writing.
Mm.
So the very act of writing is the act of discovery. And there's no separation between the writing and what precedes the writing, thinking about the writing. Uh, just as in the best of cases, there's no separation between thinking and speaking. You know, you come out and it either flows or it doesn't flow.
Right.
Yeah. Does that
Oh yeah,
answer?
absolutely. It's like basically inspiration, that it's hard to really nail down exactly what it is. The words just flow, whether they're the written words or
Right.
the spoken words, but
Yeah. And if and,
absolutely.
and and the one thing you can't do is to force it.
Yeah.
To have a, I mean, other writers work differently. Every writer works differently. But to have a preconceived notion, this is what I want to do, then already at the beginning you box yourself in. And
Absolutely.
magic is, and this is a book of, it's a magical book in some ways,
Mm.
is to break the boxes. And you break the boxes by being open and being aware and just doing it and not thinking about it, just doing it.
Absolutely.
I don't,
What message do you hope readers take away from the book about love, trust, survival?
it's more important to love people than to trust people.
Mm.
And it's more important to love life than to trust life, because sooner or later you're going to get kicked in the ass, either by lovers, either by life. But if you have that life force, that will possibly see you through. And if you fail at the end, that's okay. What's important is that you went on fighting and you went on trying. I mean, the ending is also of the book is kind of a gray area, you know, because life subsumes whatever comes its way, it digests it, and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's up to us to uh, not let ourselves be digested. And the worst digestion is digestion by yourself. If you digest yourself, you're nothing. You can't do anything. So I don't know if
Interesting.
that makes any
You're a
sense.
novelist and philosopher, much like Albert Camus, no doubt.
I
Uh,
I love Cameron.
Same here. I enjoy all of his works.
Yeah,
This novel that you've written is wonderful, and it is called According to My Father. It
right,
invites readers into a fantastical world where history's boundaries blur, and
right,
it takes
right,
us from the Crusades to Renaissance Florence and
right,
from wartime Cologne to Freud's Vienna. It
right.
is a whimsical and profound narrative that will challenge your perception of time and truth. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us here today on
Oh, I
Spotlight.
appreciate it. The only other thing I meant to say was that we always think of time and life as apart from us, you know.
Mm,
But the truth is, we are made of time stuff. I mean, we are time itself. And when death comes, I think it's the end of time. It's not eternal. The notion of the eternal is still a notion of time. But it's that time stuff that we have to explore and we have to kind of cut through. And maybe that's what I was trying to do with the novel. You know, realize what you are. You are time stuff. That's what we are, basically. Yeah.
exactly. And time is relative, of course. You know,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes, of course it is. Of course
you
it is.
know,
Yeah.
a year in a 12-year-old's life is a lot longer than a year
Oh
in
my
a
God, yes. Oh my
60-year-old's
God.
life, right?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll take one of those 5-year-old years. And where a
Yeah.
summer lasts an
Right. Right.
eternity. That
Right.
would be
Yeah.
wonderful to have. Andrew, thanks again for being our guest. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you
Uh,
for your time too. I appreciate it.
I
Thank you very much.
appreciate your time. Thanks, folks. Don't forget to buy this book. It's wonderful.
Thank you, Logan. I appreciate it a lot.